interesting little thing going on in our apartment right now. I was standing in the kitchen and, well, John was over here making breakfast this morning. And I said, do you have water on your feet? You're like tracking water in here. And we wiped it up, and then I was cooking lunch and looked down at the floor and there's more water. And I thought, oh my gosh, do we have a refrigerator leak or whatever? And water is coming up through the floorboards in the apartment. John doesn't work today, so he helped me pull the fridge out, and it's completely dry behind the refrigerator. So I went down to maintenance and said, in that maintenance closet in the hallway behind our apartment, is there something in there that can leak? And sure enough, there's a hot water heater in there. And it is leaking. So it is leaked under the wall, under the cabinets, under the floorboards. And so he's working on fixing that in the closet right now. And then he's going to come back and pull up all of the floorboards that are damp underneath and the cabinet underneath. And he's going to bring in a big high-powered fan to dry it all out so we don't end up with a mold issue. So, I don't know, you can see here, some of it's dried up, but if I step on it, see how the water's coming up? Let's step over here. Yeah, so you can see water coming up, and it was all, we just wiped it up a second ago, but it was all in from the oven over to here, over to the, not quite to the fridge, and then not over as far as the sink. That's just from me stepping in water. But yeah, so good thing we caught this early. So now, can you hear this? Well, can you hear this? Obviously what's happening is in this maintenance closet, see right here is the front door into our apartment, and there's a hallway because all of our apartment doors are on the inside of a building. So there's a hallway, and then it turns, and right there on the other side of the oven is a maintenance closet, and it has a water heater in it. And so he's over there fixing that right now, and I'm guessing what he's doing is cutting out the drywall, so because clearly the drywall is going to be wet over there because it came underneath the cabinets, and so the cats just ran off to, well, actually Chad ran off. Mary came out. She's always like, what's going on? So so they're doing that, and then as soon as they fix the source of the leak and start taking care of that stuff, as I mentioned before, they're going to take up all of this section of tile from the oven over to all in that corner tile, all of the wood pieces, panels, and all the way over to the refrigerator back in the corner. This whole area, they're going to pull all of that up, and so this area right here is like an apron underneath the cabinet, because of course there's no water in the cabinet, but it came underneath this. So they're taking that out, and then they're going to bring in a big fan that will be in here and loud and noisy for, well, I imagine a day or two until they get it all dried out, because certainly we do not want to be, you know, having mold start to grow and live in a place that has mold. So I'm actually going to ask them to take the apron paneling off on this side too, because it's definitely over here that needs it, but over here too, because I just don't know how much leaked under there, and that would be horrible if we got black mold in there. And Arizona is not a place where people have trouble with mold, because it's so dry here, and so we just don't have those kind of issues. But if you have standing water, long standing water, then you know it can be a problem. And okay, so here is what our kitchen looks like. They drilled holes. They pulled the aprons off the front of the cabinets and then drilled holes back there all around and pulled up all of that. I thought this was wood. Thankfully it's not, because they were able to pull up the vinyl, and so these need to be left on. And then this thing right here is a dehumidifier, which he said is probably going to pull about 6 to 8 gallons of water out of the air. They've got this cord that then goes up into our sink to drain the water off. He said the longer we let these fans run, the faster they'll be out of here. So he encouraged us even to try to leave them on. If we can't hear the TV or something tonight, we can turn them off for a short period of time, and then we have to turn them back on. But this is a mess, and they're going to have to shut down the water to the entire building. I think not tomorrow, but the next day to fix. It was the water main, the main water thing for the entire building. So you guys, I'm filming in the bathroom because we have all that noise out there from drying out the kitchen from the water leak. So I'm in here where it's a little bit quieter and you can hear me better. Wanted to show you a few things. First of all, thank you to those of you who watched my empties video over on Busy Being Jen and saw me lamenting about 2 products that had been discontinued and gave me suggestions for where I could find them. Now, Jackie in New York State, I think Kohl's.com has their stuff on there by regions, because I used the link you sent me for finding the Boundless Lashes mascara by Cargo, and it said it was out of stock. So I have a feeling it's regional, and so maybe the Kohl's shipping distribution center or whatever that's on the East Coast is different from where they ship from on the West Coast. Couldn't access, but thank you for that. A couple of you suggested that I look on eBay. So this is Boundless Lashes. These are travel size. Was not able to find anybody who had full size, but these were $9 a piece. Normally a full size thing of Boundless Lashes is $20 a piece. This is about half the size. And so, so it was perfect. This was great. And then from another vendor on eBay, I found my Tarina Tarantino Eye Dream Hyperliner in the color Cute Robot, which is kind of a metallic dark blue. And Tarina Tarantino still makes some of their eyeliners, but not in this particular color that I've been able to find. So I got, nice if I wouldn't drop them. So I got a couple of those. That was wonderful. Thank you so much. I might even go back and buy more. I just, at the time was on a vacation, so I was trying to do a quick shop when I bought these, but I might go back and buy more and stock up since I'm not finding them anywhere else. The other thing I wanted to show you, well, it is, this has nothing to do with products, but it is supposed to snow again starting tonight at midnight, and it's supposed to be like 75 to 90% chance of snow from midnight tonight all the way through until tomorrow afternoon, and then it turns to rain. Can you imagine that? Rain on top of snow, and then it'll probably freeze, so those would be bad roads. But I decided to go out to the pot on my patio that I've been growing herbs in, and get, I don't know, I mean, I know thyme and oregano are pretty hardy herbs, probably would be fine and make it through a snow, but why not bring in as much as I can? So I got out my food dehydrator here, and it going in the bathroom. This top one is stuffed with thyme leaves, and then the next 2 have oregano, and then the bottom 2 have basil. So I'm getting those all dehydrated. They should be fine by, normally basil usually dehydrates really fast because the leaves are so thin. And so normally I could put them in and they would be dehydrated by the time I would go to bed in a couple of hours. Not sure about this tonight because these other 2, the thyme and oregano, I rinsed and I kind of patted them dry and put them in there, but I can see quite a lot of moisture inside the humidifier, inside the dehydrator right now. And so I'm not sure if that's going to slow down the drying for the basil. Doesn't matter if it takes overnight, that's fine. I also will periodically take these trays and change the order of them, so what's on top will be on bottom and vice versa. And then I'll be able to, what I'll do with all of these once they're dried is just crunch them up and refill my spice bottles. I know there's still some oregano outside in the pot, and it's just gonna have to stay there. I might try to cut it before I go to bed and just sit it out on paper towel. But a lot of times things, if they get too cold, especially basil does not like cold. And if it gets too cold or gets snow laying on it, they'll turn brown. I don't know if oregano leaves would do that. I'm kind of guessing maybe they would. Not that that really matters, but for just having dried spices, I'm not sure. But I just figured, I've been growing these things. Well, that pot, actually, I was going to say I've been growing these things all summer. I might as well salvage what I can. But that pot, actually, I brought with me from Flagstaff in the summertime down to Camp Verde when we moved there. And the weather was always so nice, or not nice in a hot way, down there, that these two plants have been growing in the same pot for the last 2 years. But they're not going to last through a Flagstaff winter. So since I've been, using these for a couple of years, I figured I'd go ahead and harvest what I can, and then I'll just start fresh again next summer. So kind of busy. John's been decorating our patio area for Halloween. You guys know how much he goes crazy for Halloween decorating. So when he is finished, probably by tomorrow, hopefully by tomorrow or the next day, I will show you, because it's already looking quite tremendous.
Well, we got a little bit of snow overnight. It's like about an inch. Of course, it's melted on the sidewalks, as you can see. But as the day goes on, it is supposed to, I'm yawning, I just got up. As the day goes on, it's supposed to continue to snow. They said probably 1 to 3 inches. So not a lot, and probably won't stick to roads or anything just because our weather hasn't been that cold. We haven't been going down to freezing for long periods of time, but kind of nice to see. But it's so strange, you guys. I mean, here it is. What is it? October 16th? Yeah. I don't know that in all my years of living in Flagstaff that I ever remember it snowing this early.
Hi guys, can I just tell you that I'm going crazy with this fiasco over here? That's the dehumidifier right there, and then, well, here. As you can see, the floor is all still ripped up, and I've got 4 blowers, and they're noisy. And, it wasn't bad when we went to sleep last night because, well, John normally plays like white noise on his phone so he can sleep, and we sort of had the door partway closed so the cats could go in and out. But I came out into the kitchen this morning and was like, oh my gosh. And so, with the exception of a few times when I, ran out today, it was just this constant noise just drives you crazy. And then I was watching a movie on TV and I had to crank it up really loud, and I just feel like I can hardly, hear myself think. And I have that thing this Saturday, the women's event that I'm speaking at, and I forced myself to sit down and work on that a little bit, but it's just kind of making me go crazy. And nobody has come by to see what our progress is and how much it's getting dry. They said that they would come by every day, maybe, I don't know, it's almost 4. So I don't have any idea how long it's going to take. I hope that it will be, I hope tomorrow will be the last day of having to dry it out. It's not like it was sitting like that for days. That really, I mean, the most, I don't know if it was, if I don't know if I remember correctly if I saw some water on the floor, but like the day before, but Monica, stop it. Stop bothering the cat. Anyway, but it was definitely, you know, yesterday was definitely spreading faster, and so hey guys, it is Thursday. I'm on my way over to the dentist's office. Today is the day that they take off my temporary crown and put the permanent one on, which will be nice because then I don't have to worry about what I'm eating and what side of my mouth I'm chewing on and all that kind of stuff. I don't think, I mean, I'm guessing they're not going to numb up my mouth. I hope they don't, because I hate that. I'm thinking that they'll just pop that thing off and put on the new one with the permanent one with permanent cement or something. So my apartment is still loud with fans going ever since Monday afternoon. So Monday afternoon, all day Tuesday, all day Wednesday. It's 11:15 now. No one has come by, and when I get back from my dentist appointment, I'm gonna head up to the office and say, listen, if somebody from that company, they said they were gonna come by every day to check on how it was drying and give me a better idea of how long this was going to last. You know, if they had said we'll be back at 3 o'clock on Thursday, then I would have just said okay. But yeah, I mean, the fact that nobody has let me know the status of anything is making me crazy. And I'm just going to go up there and say, if somebody doesn't come by today by a certain time, I am going to unplug all the machines and drag them out into the hallway, and you guys can deal with it, because this is not appropriate that they don't let me know what's happening with, you know, what's going on in my own apartment. They're probably thinking, well, it's our apartment complex, but it's my apartment. I'm paying for it, a lot of money for it, and it's making me crazy. So in the, let's see, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, almost 3 days that the fans have been in there, I have had them going all but 6 hours, just because I needed a little peace and quiet. This morning they were off for a couple of hours because I was practicing I am the speaker at the women's event this Saturday, and I just kind of needed to practice. Oh great, a train of course is going past. Oh well, it's Flagstaff. Yeah, so I just needed to kind of practice going through my talks. It's like an hour-long thing I'm doing, and I just needed the apartment to be kind of quiet. But I got the PowerPoint presentation. I have some slides for that's all ready. I got grading done this morning, which was really great, and so yeah, anyway, I'll stop complaining about that. I mean, it's good that they get everything dried out so there's no mold, but we also live in Arizona. The likelihood of mold growing is in a place that doesn't continue to have water in it, because they shut the water down for the whole complex for a couple of hours yesterday, and so they did get that stopped. So the likelihood of mold developing in even an enclosed space where there's not water continually dripping or leaking, it's so slim here because it's so dry. But, you know, I want to make sure. I would not have wanted them to just say, oh, it'll be fine. But I really do want them to get this stupid thing fixed. And at least get the fans out. I don't even mind so much that my kitchen floor is ripped up. Just the noise, you can't even imagine. I want to say that I can hear it ringing in my ears, but it's not a ringing sound. It's just white noise, and it's just, I can sort of just hear it in my ears. Okay, John's band, it has a show tomorrow night. They're actually opening for another band that's on tour, and they're playing at like a pretty big venue in Flagstaff. It's called the Orpheum. And yeah, other than the big auditorium on campus where the orchestra plays, and the amphitheater that's over at the fairgrounds. I would say that this is the biggest place in Flagstaff that you can play, and so it's really a cool deal that they've got this. So I'm going to be going over. They're opening for this other band. Their part of it starts at 8 o'clock. I'm going to go to that, but then I'm not going to stay for the other show because I've got this thing the next morning that I'm speaking at, and I need to be over there at 8 o'clock in the morning. So I would rather go home and just sort of chill out, and I will be able to chill out if those stupid vans are gone. Yeah. And then after that, we're heading down to Phoenix just overnight, but my sisters-in-law and I are going to be going through my mother-in-law's stuff, mostly her craft stuff, and deciding who wants what and what we're going to donate and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Hi guys, it's Friday. I'm just leaving from a doctor's appointment, and I have to tell you, I never told you guys this story. It was about 6 weeks ago, and I got really sick, and I never told you guys because I think partially because I was sick for 4 days and I just was not going to film during that time. But I was sick with a stomach flu, and I had gotten up to go into the bathroom, and I was sick for, I mean, I was like in there for like an hour, but in between bouts with the toilet, and at one point I laid down on the tile. I was dripping sweat, and I laid on the tile just to cool off, and then I was like, I gotta get back, stick my face in the toilet, and I went to push myself up. My face was probably about 7 inches off the floor. I went to push myself up, and my hand slipped on the sweat, and my face just planted on the tile. No, like nothing caught it, just hit. And the next day my lip was swollen. Here I had a fever of 100, and I just felt terrible. And I was sick, literally sick. My stomach hurt for 4 days. And then I have this swollen lip for 24 hours, and my nose was as wide here as it was at the top, all the way up. It was swollen. So I didn't do anything about it. I just sort of let it, you know, I was sick. And then by the time I got over being sick, the swelling was down on the outside, but it was still, I mean, it was still very sore. It hurt for probably 3 weeks, but I just didn't feel like going into that big old story, partially because it was embarrassing to do a face plant with tile floor. But it has been causing me to have difficulty breathing on this side, and I noticed the other day that I shined a light up in my nose, and I noticed that the opening on this side is smaller than the opening on the other side. And so I'm always using nasal spray on that side, because if the tissues swell up at all, then I really can't breathe on that side. So I finally decided it was time to go see an ear, nose, and throat doctor. So I saw him today. He is the one who diagnosed the silent reflux that I had. It was actually this time last year that I was there. So he's such a funny guy. He's probably around my husband's age, so a little bit younger than me. And because when I was telling him, he said, so what happened? And I told him, and he was like, he's just laughing. I'm like, all right, fine. Thank you for laughing. So anyway, I'm glad he saw the humor in it, because it was pretty funny when you think about it. But he said, you know, you had a bit of a deviated septum before. He said, I think you broke your nose when you were younger. And I probably did, from softball, probably got hit in the face with something. Or he said, I think you broke your nose when you were younger. And he said, and then you did this and you broke it again. And he said, because the cartilage is definitely dislodged more. It's over. He said, you pushed it over more from this. And so he said there's nothing we can do surgically to put it back the way it was. He said, because you can't put hardware inside a nose to hold that in, and it would just, he said there's not enough room inside a nose to be able to do that. He said what we can do is we can shave off the part of the cartilage that is blocking the airway. And so, but he said there's really nothing we can do until we're 3 or 4 months out from the accident, because he said you still have swollen tissues. And so he said we need to see how much of this is just swollen nasal tissues and how much of it is actual obstruction from the cartilage. So he said it involves surgery. So he just said come back. He said if it's still bothering you in another 3 months, or would it be like 2.5 months? I'm good with that timeline anyway. Let's see, here we are, the middle of October, toward the end. October, November, December, January. Yeah, because I have a half marathon in January. Holiday season is coming. Half marathon in January, and we're going to Florida in January as well to see my brother. So I don't want to deal with having a surgery and having a swollen face, and I don't know what my face is going to end up looking like from that, but he did, you know, it will involve some swelling of my face, but at least after dealing with that, I will have the ability to breathe on that side. Yeah, can you believe it? So I got sick and I broke my nose. Don't hit your face on tile. Yeah, not a good idea. So I'm heading over to do the setup for tomorrow morning's women's event, but I am going to my mom's first because she went down to Phoenix for the weekend, and there is a lady who bought one of my mom's paintings, and she came up from Phoenix to Flagstaff for the weekend, and so she's stopping by to get the painting, and so I'm going to get it for her out of my mom's house. But the big news is that those big fans and dehumidifier are out of my apartment. I'm so happy about that. I actually kind of forced the issue. As of yesterday, I just turned off the fans. I thought, you know, there's no way that it's still wet underneath those cabinets, and no one had come by, and you know, they had been in there since Monday. So today what I did is, when I got back from my doctor appointment, I went into the apartment and I got all 5 machines out of the kitchen and I put them in the hall. And I figured, you know, if that company's not going to show up, then the apartment complex can figure out where to store that stuff, but I'm not storing it in my kitchen anymore. So I put it in the hallway. I went up to the office and I said, just want you to know those machines are in the hall. So you figure out where to store them, because I'm not doing it. So anyway, a couple hours later, the manager and a guy from that company were there. The guy from the company apologized and just said, my guys were not on it this week and they should have come by. And he tested I guess they test the humidity level in the air or something in the holes under the cabinets, and he said it's dry and it's fine. And then the manager said that they would have somebody in. Hopefully, I'm going to push the issue for this coming week to fix the floor, because really, I mean, they ripped up all those floor panels that were wet, and so they just need to replace those. And then it looks like it's wood flooring. I thought it was, but it's not. It's vinyl. Those were just pieces that they pulled up, and so it should be easy enough. They said that they have extra vinyl pieces, and so I'm hoping that will happen early next week, but I'll keep bugging them until they do it. Did I tell you that they did agree to pay the difference in my electric bill if it's significantly higher this month from the previous month from running those fans all the time? Because they're huge machines, and just, well, huge, I mean huge motors and stuff. So I'm just so happy to have that out of the apartment. I was actually able to be in my kitchen and fix myself some lunch and not bang into stuff and not have to move a big machine to open a cabinet. Yeah, so that was a crazy, crazy week. So I'm really excited about John's show. I will show you a clip from
last night. We were trouble, tearing up this town. Picked me up the devil keeps calling in the dark of the night. I wanna see the sunrise, fear of mine. Empty thought this world, never end but my friends is there. What I feel, what I did, I cannot say for sure. Gone, 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 crying won't bring back. For the crowd, as the train flies, farther on down. I said I had to go and see that. Monster truck show. Yes. It was a monster truck marathon. Monster truck was a monster truck marathon. It was a monster, it was a monster, it was a monster truck marathon. I'll go, let's go to the monster truck show at the monster truck monster.
They were real little like this, and just itty bitty, and then when I saw them the next morning, they were actually bats, and they were getting their wings out and like crawling on their wings, and I was like, oh, it's a bat. And then I grabbed one, and it opened its eyes because of that show, and its eyes were bright red, and
Guys, after all the playing, it's Sunday, so we got here yesterday afternoon at about 4, and Monica and Gracie have pretty much not stopped playing the whole time unless we put them in their cages. Now Monica it's hot, it's pretty warm today. I don't know what the temp is, but probably in the upper, maybe mid to upper 80s, and she's just laying on the warm concrete in the sun, just totally passed out. Monica.
I'm so tired. So tired.
Hi guys, it's Wednesday. I'm headed over to Women's Bible Study. Just wanted to say that the talk I did at that women's event on Saturday went really well. But let me give you a little bit of information about who I am before I launch into my talk with you today. Actually, so I was a classroom teacher for 12 years. I taught kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 6th grade. Absolutely loved being a teacher, and I miss the funny things the kids say. I didn't get married till I was 32, so the older I got, my kids would be like, so, you know, are you married? Do you have kids? And when, you know, when I was getting to the point where I was older than their parents, then they were what, you know. So anyway, I remember that there was this one time, there was this girl, Tambra, in my class. It was 3rd grade. She was in 3rd grade. She was 9. And she says to me one day, you're never going to get married, are you? And normally it wouldn't bother me. And so, but that day, for some reason, it was bothering me. And I said, why would you say that? And she says, well, she goes, well, how old are you, 27? And I said, yes. And she goes, well, I mean, you're 27, you're not married now, you probably never will. And I was like, Tambra, why would you say this? And she said, it's okay, it's better to be single than married to a jerk. So we never had kids. I had 25 kids a year as a classroom teacher. We have furry children that anybody who knows us well knows that we are, yes, those people who treat their animals like kids. And so right now we have 2 cats, Chad and Mary, and our dog, Monica. We always name our pets people names. My mom and dad said it was a good thing we never had children, or we probably would have named them Fluffy or Spot. The fact that we have such a difficult time accepting the gift of grace that God has given us. And especially as women, I think, that we're always trying to live up to some standard that God doesn't put on us. And we're always trying to be better, do more. We try to, I think we get in this rat race that the world has, and we're thinking about moving ahead in a career, making more money, being the best wife ever, being the best mom ever, doing, just more and more things. Sometimes it's about how we look or how we dress, and it's trying to live up to this standard. And I also think that we get into a spiritual rat race. Am I doing enough, God? If I read this much, if I serve this way, if I do this, are you proud of me? Are you proud of me, God? Have you guys ever done that? Try to feel like you can earn brownie points with God when we don't need to do that because he freed us of that. Well, anyway, so the thing is that we can run that rat race, but whoever wins the rat race is still a rat. And so do we really want to win that race? I mean, honestly. So here's the thing. Okay, so I have this little analogy to share while we're on the subject of rodents. When I was a classroom teacher, I always had classroom pets. And so, of course, I started out with hamsters. How many of you have ever had a hamster in your life? Hamsters are lousy pets. They're cute and fuzzy, but they're lousy pets. First of all, they escape. They jump out of your hand, and they don't care if they land on their head, and they bite children. And so when you're a classroom teacher and you have a hamster that bites a kid, and you send him up to the nurse, and then next thing you know, at the end of the day, rabies control is calling and saying, "Excuse me, we understand you have a hamster that bit a child." Yes. Well, you're going to need to quarantine that animal for 10 days. Well, she lives alone in a cage. So you want me to just put her back in her cage? So anyway, but they bite children. So but at the beginning of this one school year, I was in need of another hamster. My previous hamster had died the year before. So I go to the pet store. If you're going to have any shot at having a hamster that does not bite children, you have to get it as a baby and you have to hold it all the time. So I go to the pet store and I said, "Do you have any baby hamsters?" And they said, "No." Excuse me. So this lady says, "But we do have baby rats." And I was like, "No." So she says, "Hold a rat. I guarantee you'll go home with one today." And I was like, "Dear woman, no. It's his tail, I can't deal with that." So anyway, long story short, I went home with a rat that day. And rats are actually, if you can get past the tail, they're really great pets. Because they don't jump out of your hand, they don't escape. You can sit them on your shoulder, they'll just sit there. If your hands are dirty, they'll start cleaning you. They're like, "Oh, gross," and they start licking you. And anyway, they're really nice. What else was I going to say about? Oh, and they don't bite kids. That was the big thing. They don't bite. And so they were really great. And I had I stopped having hamsters and, ended up with lots of rats with people names. Emily was my first one. And I think I had so many of them. So here's the thing about hamsters and rats. They run on wheels. We're getting back to the rat race story. They run on wheels. They both do. But they run on wheels in different ways. A hamster gets on the wheel, and they just go for it. Just run and run and run and run. They just run and run and run and run. They don't pause or anything. you can go on YouTube or see GIFs where these hamsters are going to town on a wheel, and then the wheel gets ahead of them and they get thrown out of it and stuff. So anyway, they just go crazy on a wheel. A rat, on the other hand, does something a little bit different. A rat will run on a wheel, but they stop periodically. And it was interesting that I found this picture online of a rat doing the very same thing. But they'll run on the wheel and then they stop. Dang, didn't get anywhere. Get back on the wheel. They start going again. And then they stop. You can just see the wheels turning. But they stop and they're like, shoot. Okay. And so they just keep going. Well, I had a rat named Rachel who thought that the wheel was broken. And so she wouldn't run on it. She would shove litter and Kleenex under the wheel until it wouldn't move. And then she would climb to the top of it and sit up there. And yeah, and kind of look around. She'd be up at a different vantage point and everything. And then if I cleaned out the cage and the wheel was spinning again, she'd be like, go to work immediately, shoving litter under there and toilet paper until it wouldn't move, and then she would go to the top. And I have thought about the fact that most of us, or a lot of people in life, get on a wheel like a hamster, and they run this race of life, and they never stop to think about where they're going. Someone just threw them on that wheel and said, go, and they go. Most of us, though, I think are more like the rats on the wheel. We get on there, and then we stop. Am I good enough? Have I gone far enough? Oh, get back on that wheel and we start running. But wouldn't it be nice if we could be a little bit more like Rachel to make that wheel work for us and move to the top, get away from that hustle and bustle of the world with a little place of peace, a little bit closer to God, and accept some of that grace that he gave us. I shared just some, kind of a really personal story that was my talk was about allowing God to renew your mind in the midst of life's circumstances, specifically life's challenges. And so I shared a pretty personal story in that, and how God doesn't leave us in the midst of difficult times. And so I hate it when the sun does this. Anyway, so afterwards, I just had a lot of women, teary-eyed women, come up to talk to me about difficult things they were going through, and so it was good. It went really well, and I was happy that I did it. I am, as I said, on my way over to Bible study, but I think I have probably way more than enough stuff to put in a vlog, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.